Very nice to see you all here. Thanks very much for coming today. We hope you're having a fabulous day. This is my third year at the Great Brickish Show at Steam, and I think it gets better and better. Those of you who've been several years running, just the standard of exhibits just keeps going up and up. So this is the best Lego you'll see pretty much anywhere, and it's here this weekend. So thanks very much for coming. My name is Jeremy Williams, and I'm going to be talking about lighting your Lego models. This is something that I am just experimenting with for the first time this year, so I'm not going to talk to you as an expert or professional in this, but as someone who's just starting to get into this, I want to enthuse you with it, and hopefully by the end you'll be thinking, wow, I need to get some lights and start to play with this. So we're going to talk about some examples. I'll show you some examples. Now, when I put this together in my room with my lovely monitor screen here in front of me, I thought I'd pick lots of nice moodily lit shots for you to look at. Not quite realising how light it would be in here, and how that probably wouldn't come out clearly on the projector. So you'll get to see some of that. We'll talk about sources of lights, where you get your lights from, and there are various sources. Actually, we've got a wealth of different ways of getting light into our models, and then I'll give you some tips, just from my experience, about things to watch out for and things to avoid. So we'll start with examples. Now, I'm a sci-fi builder. That's what I do. I build spaceships and things like that. I've got a hangar with some space shuttles in it on display over in the main hall. And I'm also a fan of science fiction films. Now, you know, all science fiction films are dark and dingy and moodily lit with lots of dramatic lighting effects, which has always puzzled me. You know, health and safety, for goodness sake, on the spaceship, why is it they're all dark and moodily lit? Why don't you have a bit more brightness, paint it all white on the inside so people don't trip over and see what they're doing? But I know why we don't do it, because it looks great, doesn't it? In films when it's all a bit dark and ambient and got some creepy music going on, that's what you want in a spaceship. And adding light to your models makes them cinematic in that sense. Now I'm going to show you some examples which are all unashamedly sci-fi. I'm aware that you can add lights to trains, you can add lights to your city models, headlights for cars and street lamps and so on. But I'm just going to show you some examples that really got me into the lighting process. So here's the first one. This is a great shot, really Star Wars theme here. And this illustrates exactly what I'm talking about, I think. I'm sure this would be a good model without the lighting. If you saw it in daylight, you'd probably think, yeah, there's some nice techniques in there. But it's the lighting that makes this particular shot, how dramatic it is. We've got some red lighting as well as just lots of strong lighting overhead, and it gives it a particular atmosphere. It makes it look like it's a film, doesn't it? Looks a bit like Lego Star Wars. Anyone else into Lego Star Wars? You know, it looks like a shot from that. Here's another one. This is by a builder who is here today, Peter Reed. If you're into sci-fi or you haven't spoken to Peter yet, you really need to do so. You need to buy one of his exosuits and get him to sign the book, which you'll also buy at the same time. But Pete is a fantastic builder, inspiration to lots of us, and this is one of his walls. And again, I've seen this in reality. It's actually a very nice bit of working by itself, but with these lights, I mean, look at these alcoves here. You know, something creepy is going to come out of those, don't you think? You just hear the music, or is that just me? Here's another one. This is another brilliant UK builder. Member of the kind of space crew builders, by popular vote the best looking of the space builders. And this is actually a model he showed last year here in Steam. But this is it with most of the lights off, just with an alcove. This guy's on night patrol, you can tell. And again, can't you hear that suspenseful music? Just looking at the shot, wondering what's going to happen next. Is an ordinary night, or is it? Anyone else think like that? Not just me. Okay. Here's another one. Now, I just said I was into sci-fi and into sci-fi films. So can I make a confession? I've only just seen the Alien films, which is a dreadful thing to say. Kids, you shouldn't watch them. Because I was scared, you know, and had to hide behind the pillow. But there is a Lego builder who is taken on the task of building, recreating every scene from that film, and he was one of them. So again, amazingly lit, lots of kind of dark red light here. If you go onto your computers and look up Missing Brick on the site Flickr, these are all from Flickr, then you'll see all of his models, but they rely on lighting, and they're some of the best at lighting out there. Here's another one. Don't really see what that is in this dim light. This is a geek test, really. You need to spot that with it. It's a sand crawler, isn't it? Yes. Thanks, Tim. It is, yeah. But again, brilliantly lit. Lovely inside. And it's not just scenery. You can light up characters. I'm not quite sure how this guy has done that. I suspect it's involved some drilling, which is a horrible thing to think about, isn't it? Drilling a minifigure. And you might decide that that's a step too far for you, but for people who are prepared to do it, you can do these amazing effects. You have a little headlight that glows. That'd be great. I like a personal headlight that glows, actually. Yeah, brilliant effects. So hopefully that's made you think, wow, I can see the effect that lighting can have on a model. These are all science fiction models, but you can equally imagine trains with lights on, science fiction trains with lights on, and so on, but it can really make a difference. So how do you do it then? Where do you get lights from, and how do you put it to work? Well, I think there are really three sources of lights that we tend to use. We've got to start, of course, with official LEGO lights. Here's some official ones. You can't quite see that one, but that's a power functions light. There's a light brick, and there's an older light brick. We'll talk about those in a minute. So we should always start with the official source. For some people, that's where they start and end. Anything else is just not right. You should use only certified LEGO parts. But for the rest of us, there's other options. One is third-party lights, and I'll talk about these two different sort of leading providers of hobby lights for LEGO kits. And of course, there are lights never meant for LEGO. LED lights, those from a well-known Swedish furniture company. School lamps with LEDs in there, and that bottom strange thing down there is EL wire, electroluminescent wire, which can be used for all sorts of effects. We'll talk about that as well. Now, the best thing you can do, of course, is not stick to one of these, but to mix and match. And if you want to come down and have a look at the hanger that I've got on display, I've actually got all of these different types all working at the same time in the hanger. So you really can mix and match. Some things to watch out for, which I'll go into at the end, but it's a great way of just adding all sorts of lighting effects. A lot of it isn't that expensive either. So official LEGO. Now back in the 1980s you could get the old 12-volt lighting. They introduced lighting sound. They went crazy for a while and then realised how much it annoyed parents, and I think stopped at that point. There were some sound bricks that were incredibly annoying, but it was a nice thing. I think for many of us we thought there'd be a real problem with their flashing lights and so on, and they've kind of reined back from that a bit, which is a shame. But you can still get the old lights. You can find them on Bricklink and other kind of second-hand sellers, and it might be an interesting avenue to pursue. I've not got lots of experience with these lights, but I've seen lots of people use the old LEGO style lights. Up-to-date lights, there are the power functions lights. I've got a couple of these working to provide the engine lights for a tiny spaceship that's coming into land in my model. They're not particularly bright. I don't think they're the best LEDs in the world, but they are from LEGO and they're made to fit into LEGO models really well. They're part of the Technics range and they fit into the holes in a Technic brick, as well as lots of other bricks like the little headlight bricks and so on, which is delightful to use. And then there's cell batteries. These little brick lights that you can get predominantly in red, but there are other colours from LEGO and some of the other third-party manufacturers make the different colours as well. These have a switch at the back that you push in to turn the light on. As soon as you let go, it's spring-loaded and it'll turn the light off. And you can use this to your advantage, as I found about 2 weeks ago when I was finishing the model for display here, that if you want the light to flash on and off, and you happen to have something moving in your model, like a door closing, if you put a row of round bricks behind one of these lights, then as the round bricks move past it, they gradually push the switch in and out, and it makes the light flash. If you come down, see my hanger doors closing, there are flashing lights underneath. None of that is kind of some kind of, NXT Mindstorms model or anything. It's just simply round bricks going past brick lights. So all sorts of interesting things you can do. So that's some LEGO options. Some third-party ones. Here are the two main manufacturers, I think, on the market: Light and Brickstuff. Both of them American, unfortunately for us, as there's shipping costs to bring them over here. I don't think there are UK distributors at the moment that I can find. These are examples of the Lights ones. These are the ones I use in my model. You can see they're very small LEDs on very, very small wires. They are pretty thin. and those wires can easily sneak into a lot of spaces in a Lego model. Even the connectors at the end there will, with a little bit of persuasion, go through the holes in the Technique. So you can fit them in. You do have to be very careful in handling them. Because of the size, those connectors are incredibly fiddly, and you can easily break them if you just kind of yank them at the wire. So, you know, if kids are building models, you need an adult to just help that bit, make sure you don't break them. I think I've probably broken one or two of them. I don't even quite well. But a great option. You can have these as mains powered. You can have big battery packs like this. But that itself is actually, there's a block like that which is battery powered of that size. And I've actually got one over there. There's a ship being repaired, and it's been welded, and that is all driven from a tiny little Lego brick, so a normal Lego brick, plus one extra plate, and that's got a battery in it, and that is driving lights, and even does all the flashing effects as well to make it look as if it's rolling. So in a very small space you can fit some incredible lights with all sorts of effects like engines and sirens and chasing lights for runways and so on. All of that can be run by lights. Great stuff to a very similar thing. I've not used these yet, but I'm about to put in an order for some of these, and so they're even better, I think, than the light lights. The wires are incredibly thin on these, very, very thin indeed, and you can imagine you can get those very easily through lots of tight spaces in your models. And again, they give you LEDs which have double-sided tape, and they are sized to fit onto a 1x6 plate. So you can easily stick them onto a plate, stick them into a model, or stick to the bottom of a brick. Or you can use third party. Now this is an IKEA set of lights. You can buy LEDs and LED strips online. But when I was looking at getting LEDs after lots of research, I thought, I'm not sure that the wiring is always safe enough for some of these things. I think I'll go to a local shop and I'll be able to have this particular model. It does have a little colour wheel, you can change the colour, but it's a fairly cheap set, and it's a nice way of adding lots of lighting equipment to a model, and this is used to light up the hangar that I think is great. There are other things. I have a couple of hidden corridors on my model, which are lit by just torches, LED little torches with rings of LEDs in, the kind of thing you can stick up on your kitchen, under your kitchen units. Those work really well. Those handheld ones that sit in there, battery powered. And you can use EL wire. Now I bought some EL wire to try this out. I was a bit disappointed with mine because it's barely bright enough. You didn't see that it was on in daylight. You have to be in a big pitch black room. I think I just bought a dodgy version really. Because on display today is a version right in the very corner of the whole, in the science fiction corner. You'll see a Stargate with a ship going through it, and that's lit with EL wire, which looks a lot brighter than hardware. So I encourage you to go and have a look at that. It's used by people who want to have sort of Tron-style outfits in clubs. I just want to say I've never used it for that. Okay, I've never worn a lighted outfit in a club. Just to make that clear. Nor should any of you. But it's an option we should think about. So lots of different sources. Just some tips on that. The IKEA lights that I'm using are actually the second lot I've got from IKEA. The first lot were a bit simpler, they don't change colour, but were a bit cheaper. I thought I'll get those. And I put them in, turned them on, thought, oh, not quite what I wanted, because the life lights that I've got in are very, very bright, cool white, and the cheaper IKEA ones that I had were warm white, and it just didn't look right. It gave me a nice effect, but it didn't give me the effect I wanted. So just watch out when you're buying white lights, to just be careful what white we're talking about. There are three main whites. They're warm, natural, which is supposed to be more like daylight, and cool white. Those figures are the Kelvin readings, which are on a scale, which is a good idea about how warm or cool that light source will be. So if you are matching lights, and that's an issue for you, you just need to think about that. Now, I know that lights sell warm and cool white. So you have to specify which one you want, and just be careful about the light that you use. Whether you want a kind of more natural, glowing kind of look, incandescent lights, warm, or if you want a more modern, bright, fluorescent light. Think about power. It can take a lot of power. a lot of batteries. Run mains as much as you can if you want those lights to be on for a long period of time. But of course batteries are convenient, portable, you don't have wires everywhere, and for the very small models then batteries are too important. And I use a mix of those. But be prepared to have lots of batteries. You can use rechargeables, but they don't tend to, they don't seem to give us as good a power loading out of that. Maybe we'll just use the raw rechargeables, but just watch out for that. It can get quite expensive. Do think a bit about heat. LEDs don't give off too much heat. Older lights, some of the older incandescent lights, some of the old Lego lights are tiny little bulbs, and if you enclose those in a really tiny space, you can have heat problems. And just watch out, if you are buying sources, sometimes the power units can get quite warm, so just think about that. Don't enclose things too much. I've actually got some little vents on my model just to make sure that there's enough airflow, just to keep it cool. Although I have got a big guy over the back. And I'm just showing this slide as well because that is a Lego model with flames. How about that? It's pretty impressive, isn't it? Now I've got a slide for access, but I'd say just the most elements are far too deeply in the model. It may well be difficult to get to some proper windows. So just try and, if you're going to bury them, make it reasonably easy to disconnect the section of the model so you can get the lights. I've got a little catch on the top of mine I can pop open, click the switches on and off. I do think about access. In other words, we're building on the with the light in and then thinking, it doesn't quite stretch on enough to take it apart. But hopefully that's inspired you to think about putting lights in. It could be something as simple as Christmas tree lights. There was a model on display, really effectively, we just simply Christmas tree lights. Many of us have built a building and thought, let's just stuff it with old Christmas tree lights, and it works really well. Don't use candles. Any other source you can find, especially LEDs, there are so many cheap options out there. A torch can work really well, but put light in your models. It makes a huge difference. If you're going to show it at a show like today, it really helps to have some lights just to come through and it just adds so much. So hopefully you'll amaze us with some of the things that you do. If you're a member of Brickish, put lights in and come and show us. If you're not a member of Brickish and you're over 16, please join and then put lights in the model and bring it next to you and we'll be amazed at the way you do it. And thank you very much for coming. Please enjoy the rest of the day. Come and see us. If you want to come and talk to me, look at some of the lights and so on, I've come in the great restaurant hall over with all the spaces that's going on. I'll be very happy